Every once in a while, a show that is highly hyped turns out to be a big disappointment. But I never thought that The Detective Is Already Dead would be not only one of those, but one that I was watching burn down to the floor in slow motion. This show was certainly a roller coaster of feelings, because it does have a very strong lead in Siesta, who has become a seasonal favorite. But the story was dead from the start, just like the title of this presentation states. The premise of the show goes around the legendary detective and her assistant, who consider himself to be a magnet for troubles as we follow some of their adventures. And that's pretty much it. That is the premise. Yup. Of course, as I went into the show, that by the way, the very first episode got the 1 hour special treatment, we get to know the very likable detective and her Watson-like companion, and get interest as they investigate this organization of cyborgs, I guess? Listen, The Detective Is Already Dead, alright? It's not a spoiler, it's right there in the title. It actually appears in the official premise, so yeah, Siesta dies very, very early. Which is a big concern because she is the lead of the show. But it's not only that she dies, but then the story takes you 1 year after her death, but at the same time it tells you that between the first episode and the present there is a 4 years gap because her sidekick Kimihiko spent 3 years working with her and then he spent another year mourning her. And if this is not enough of a disaster, then after spending few episodes in the present and after a big twist, this is put in hold and we are taken back again to the past and see the days that led Siesta to her demise, and spend several episodes on that, before returning again to the present. It's just all over the place, and even if you go into it wanting to like it, as I did, it hurts even more, because the whole experience is painfully boring, not even the villains are interesting. I am going to stop there before turning this whole video too negative, as for you, my dear viewer, has already a general idea on how I feel about the plot. So let's talk about the characters. Siesta is the lead and only good thing this show has. She's funny, smart, and has multiple layers. She's always a very interesting character to watch. She never stops surprising me since the beginning of the show. She cares for her sidekick and is a straight shooter, but somehow has problems communicating her true emotions to him. Even if she dies early on, the show manages to put her into the story multiple ways from start to finish. Her development is alright. I would have liked to know more about her background, how she got to that position of legendary detective, but what I got, it was more than enough to like the character. Then there is Kimihiko, who is the one that gets more screen time. He is the sidekick of the detective, and after her death, he's trying to leave those experiences behind. He's kind of passive-aggressive kind of dude. You can feel his anger just piling up because he's not completely over the death of her beloved detective. He does have some highlights, but it's not lead material, doesn't have the personality for it. He feels like a generic dude on a harem story where all the female characters are the main characters. I haven't talked about Natsunagi at all here, so here I go. She's a young woman who has visions of Siesta and is able to communicate with her. There is a reason for that and it's very clever. I'm not going to spoil that for you here, but I like the reasoning behind it. Her personality is kind of childish and tries to avoid serious situations, but when she feels the need to act, she doesn't. For me, she feels kind of flat. I don't really know if I like the character. It did not leave a good impression on me overall, but I can tolerate her enough, so it's not that bad. The rest of the supporting cast are alright, I guess. An idol named Yui who assigned them with a case early on. Fubi, an inspector and ally of the detective, helps with the police work and investigations. And the beautiful Charlotte, who is Siesta's highly trained sidekick that loves her and misses her immensely. So all of these side characters are okay. Yui is the only one that kind of overstays her welcome, but it's not unbearable. With a decent plot, I think these characters would have played out better, but none of them were properly used in my opinion. The animation is pretty mediocre. It does have some good things early on, but it seems that they ran out of budget, and even backgrounds in the later episode feel empty and lifeless. And it shouldn't, because we spent the whole show traveling around the world, but it just doesn't feel like it. The OST left a lot to desire also. Usually, mystery and detective stories have outstanding OST. The feeling of mystery and thriller goes always hand to hand with a good background music. There is none of that here. However, the OP and ED are pretty decent. They do pass the test on that department. But they do not feel like part of the same show. It seems that they belong to another one. However, I did like both songs, and the animation on the ED is pretty good. I wonder where is that presentation, because certainly I will watch it. The Detective is Already Dead was one of the biggest titles heading into this summer season, but it turned out to be too big of a challenge for a small studio that seemed to spend everything they got in the early season and barely made it to the end. This title is going to go down as one of the biggest disappointments of this year and won't be remembered. That is why for me, it is a 3 out of 10. A very strong lead in Siesta wasn't enough to save the presentation with a messy and boring plot, mediocre animation, and lifeless characters. Guys, thank you all so much for watching. Like the video if you did, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, join the Discord for free, the link is in the description section down below, and as always I wish you all a wonderful day.